What do you do if you feel the opposite of what you're supposed to feel with an elixir? What happens if you take flower essences for love and you feel irritable and angry? Or if you're working with flower essences for peacefulness and you feel the total opposite of peace? This is a totally normal and natural occurrence. It's typically called a healing crisis. So let's just talk about healing crises. What are they? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So typically, for everyone it's different. I would say with the combination flower essences, if you experience a healing crisis, because in my experience with the combination blends, it's pretty rare that people experience a healing crisis. It's more common with the single flower essences because they're more targeted. However, in any case, if you do experience a healing crisis, it would typically be anywhere from 1 day to a week in of regular use. And you may notice that you just have 1 day where you just feel really emotional. Maybe you just sit in a chair all day and you just cry and you get it out. Or you have a couple hours where you feel really irritated or really conflicted about something. You may be able to identify where this is coming from and may relate to the flower essence, or it might just be out of left field and you're not sure why this intensity of emotion is arising. The most important thing to do and remember is just allow. Flower essences have a way of sort of rearranging things on the inside, and oftentimes what needs to happen is things need to come from the inside up and out. So I tend to think of it in this visual way. It's almost like something stored deep in your belly, right? Your subconscious. And something has got to come up to come out. In order for it to come out, we see it as it's on its way out. So it isn't something that you really need to worry too much about, or to figure out why, or to understand, or get to the bottom of why am I feeling this way. Actually, by just sort of acknowledging and being gentle with yourself and allowing those feelings to be there and not being so concerned about why and figuring it out. The moment we go into the why and figuring it out, we sort of cling to them more tightly and we hold on to them so that they can't really move and things get stagnant. So alternatively, if you can just see, oh wow, I'm feeling really lonely suddenly, or whoa, I'm feeling really sad, or I'm feeling really angry. Just noticing and acknowledging the emotions is oftentimes what allows it to just move and keep on its way out. We are not our emotions and we are not our thoughts. It's like the sky with the clouds. There are clouds constantly passing. We have thoughts and emotions constantly, but we are the sky. So allow whatever wants to come up to come out. Technically, it's usually anywhere from an hour to a full day where you feel bent out of shape, and then it passes, and then the next day or the next hour, you feel better than ever. Also, flower essences have a way of showing you the imbalanced state, and they may magnify something or completely blow it out of proportion so that you can actually see it. So in the example I gave earlier about a flower showing me how impatient I am, it may have seemed in that moment wow, I am the most impatient person in the world. Every moment of my waking life, I'm impatient. And that may not be true, but in the moment, it's there's this magnification, right? It's like putting a magnifying glass on something. You see it as really big. And that doesn't necessarily mean that if you use a magnifying glass that suddenly the letters in the newspaper are big. It's just how you're perceiving it. So flower essences have that magical ability. It's like a magnifying glass into your psyche. So rest assured, whatever you notice is mutable, malleable, changeable, and how could we use our free will to change something about ourselves if we weren't able to first even be able to see it and acknowledge it? So those little buggers, those little flower essences have that way of really blowing something out of proportion for us so that we can make a different choice, take a different path, and no matter how subtle something is within us, the flower has the capacity to really blow it up. So if you experience a healing crisis, which actually I find to be quite rare, unless you're working with single flower essences, If you do experience one, just know that it's a passing phenomenon. You're just releasing something, and you'll feel so much better having let go or wiggled out or unearthed whatever piece of information or pattern that is releasing itself, and you'll feel so much better. I should also say that if you do feel uncomfortable with a particular flower essence or blend, one way to mitigate that, if it just feels too intense, and let me preface this and say, the flower essences will never show you anything that you're not ready for. You will only see what you're ready for. Flower essences have this magical ability to work in tandem with your subconscious, and you know what you're ready to be able to see and not see. So anything that you experience while taking flower essences is totally something that's manageable and handleable by you. That being said, you can also mitigate the feelings that you have. You can slow it down a little bit. Sometimes I will back off from a flower essence and take it once a day or twice a day. Or even I notice, interesting, with these more intense flower essences, I notice that during the first week, I really am only taking it once or twice a day. There's probably a reason for that. And then as I get used to it, I start taking it 10, 15 times a day. So you may already naturally do that in terms of how often you're drawn to taking it. But if you get in a sticky situation and you just want to take it down a notch, you can also slow it down and just take it once or twice a day. Other times you may want to increase. So it depends on your personality. If you're an intense person, you may want to increase how much you're taking it to work through it faster. If it's overwhelming, you may want to slow it down a little bit. And you may choose different options at different moments in your life to calm it down or to go the more intense route. Both are valid and both are the fastest way, in a sense, whatever is best for you. So you can trust your intuition in terms of how often you feel drawn to taking something, or if you feel repulsed by taking something. All of that is symbolic and has meaning because you are the driver of your ship and you know what you need. So you can trust that, and you can trust that the flower essences will only show you what you are ready to see and work with.